You know, I wouldn't do this for everybody, man. You're interrupting my Ben and Jerry's time.
Oh, man. Ben and Jerry.
I apologize.
Good people, Ben and Jerry.
We will make it. Welcome to the latest episode of Rich and Wibo present the Local Artist Show. Today's guest is one of the funniest and hardest working comedians that I know. He has the ability to take past and current experiences along with everyday occurrences and turn it into a hilarious bit that everyone can relate to. Please welcome the extremely talented Marcellino Moosehill to Rich and Wibo present the Local Artist Show. All right. Now we get the show started.
Marcellino.
All right.
We had a little mishap a little while ago and I spilled water all over my computer, but we're back and running.
You're back.
Marcellino, I want to say I've known you. I think I started comedy back in 2012, and you were one of the first comedians that I met and then became friends with. And you and I did so many shows together, had such a great time, and we're going to talk all about that and so many other things. So welcome to the Local Artist Show. Thanks for being
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
And
Thanks for coming.
Wibo, say hello.
Hello. Hello. What's the aim of PM?
Yeah. Well, I want to talk right off the bat. I want to talk about comedy during the pandemic because I haven't done comedy in a couple of years. I started doing other things, wrote a book, started doing motivational speaking, and I was able to do things that really didn't require an audience. So for you, you're doing comedy, you need an audience. What was life like during the pandemic?
Oh, it sucked. Honestly, this is like the third time I'm trying to do like the computer Zoom thing or whatever. I don't have my OCD comes out. But no, it's really tough trying to do that, you know. So we had like little private shows or little private parties or whatever that I was doing. You know, I like to say busy, but you know, from doing 2 shows a week to doing maybe 5 a month, that was kind of, you know, upsetting is a proper word I would use.
Did you write a lot during the pandemic?
You know, I don't write a lot. What I do is I put it on video. Like I do little skits. I'm sorry if you hear the squealing. I got an African gray parrot over here, so he might yell out stuff.
Oh, all right. No.
Oh yeah, he might yell out stuff. So I prefer like to do videos, and what I do is like I write little notes or something to highlight, so I know what to go off of and stuff. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, what I used to do is I could never, whenever I wanted to write something, I said, let me write a bit. It's middle of a snowstorm. I'll write all day. I can't think of a thing. Then I'll take a walk when I'm not even thinking about anything, and I'll get 5 or 6 comedy bits that will come to me. Then what I do is I write it down, but I used to put it into an iPod and just record myself and listen to myself. But I like your idea because you can see what you're like on stage, because mannerisms are half of what makes it funny. Not just you up there telling funny jokes, but your facial expressions and your body, the way you move your body and do different things. Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. So you've been doing comedy for how long now? Because I started 2012, 2013. You were doing it before.
Yeah, I'm coming up on 10 years.
Wow.
I think October would be 10, but I took like a year off because, you know, it was kind of hard being a single father. And my daughter was, you know, really young then. Yeah. And she was at that age where she didn't really need a sitter. But I didn't feel comfortable leaving her for long. You know,
if anybody listens to your act, they're going to be surprised by what you say.
Oh my God! No, I took a lot of things down off of YouTube.
Do you find? I mean, even I've stopped doing comedy 3 years ago. I think even in the last 3 years, the social media craze with the PC police has made it much more. I mean, I guess you really don't have anything to worry about because you're not employed, really, but like your employer could look at you and say, oh boy, he's saying things, he's representing this company. I think it's actually gotten scarier now because our comedy is not PC. And do you ever worry about that?
Yeah, oh my gosh. I was working at this one job. I had a part-time job after I retired from Central at a car dealership, and they had awesome. I mean, they did an all-out Christmas party. Wow. And they wanted me to do a skit. because you know I invited a couple people to come to a couple of shows, and they wanted me to do a skit, and I was like, if I did that, I'll get fired. You know,
I keep everything separate. No matter what I do, people think that like all I do to make money is either write books, do motivational speaking, or comedy. Those are all great hobbies for me, and I make a little bit of money here and there. But no, I'm the same way. I just keep that completely separate and just do my thing. And
yeah, I'm definitely not making a living off this. You know, not as of now. You know, I have future plans and stuff. I want to get back out there more. You know, now everything's opening up. I'm trying to send stuff out. You know, like you said, don't say no. Take advantage of every situation you can.
And it's worked for me, and I know it's worked for you too. It's like the one time you do it may not work that time, or you may not like what you're doing, but then that's going to open a door. Like, wow, I never even knew this happened. Or somebody might see you and give you a completely new opportunity to do something that you love. So, and you've been doing this for years, and you and I played. How many states together did we play? I know you were talking about it on another show the other day. Boston, New York, Connecticut. I think you did.
Did we take a ride to New Hampshire one time?
Yep, we did with I forgot what her name is now, but she was Nashua, I think. We did several shows there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you rode down to Jersey with me to do Mike's show, Mike Bonner.
Yeah, Bonner. I think
yeah. I used to go down there all the time too.
Yep. No, I was there several times, and the best thing was that I had to be up early next morning. So I asked him, I said, can I just go on first? He goes, yeah. So I drove down there, did my 10, 15-minute set, and then drove the 2.5 hours back to Connecticut. But I think that's where you and I, and this is you and I and Karina. I want to mention Karina too, because the three of us, we used to call ourselves the Mod Squad, which I love. We used to go around, but we did a lot of shows together. And I like your mentality because you have the same thing as me. I know somebody did comedy after 2 years. I'm not doing any show that I don't get paid anywhere. I was like, you're not going to get a lot of shows. And people would come to me like, oh, who's your agent? I said, what do you mean? How do you get all these shows? I just, like you, talk to people after the show, introduce myself, and it's all about making connections. And they're like, oh man, you want to be on my show? And then I would start running my own shows, and you were on plenty of those. So it was just, it's just about making contacts, making friends, but so many people are not willing to go that extra step. I remember somebody goes, well, I don't feel like driving all that way, but maybe next time you go, you can put me on the show. I said, no, I'm not your driver.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
go ahead.
We get volunteered to do a lot of traveling, but also have someone think that you're their personal chauffeur.
Exactly. And they didn't want to go out of their way. Oh, I don't want to go all that way for 10 minutes. Well, then you're not going to get any shows, because they would just say, well, because we live in Connecticut, and in Connecticut at the time, it was the Funny Bone. It was Joker's Wild and a couple other smaller places. But I actually want to ask you a question on this, because I preferred playing out of state. I found the other comedians from other states more welcoming. What about you? Yeah,
well, you know, it's such a tight knit. My own personal thing, and I'm not saying this to piss anybody off, but I think it's such a tight knit of a cliquey. You know, a lot of I know I'm going to get some nerves riled up on that, but some areas are so cliquey. If you don't do this, you don't do that. Hey, you might be funny, but we're not going. They don't say I'm not going to let you on the show. But you get that feeling because you're not doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like when I do my shows, you know, I got several different shows that I do host all the time, and I bring comics in. I don't care if you have an attitude with me. If I think that you're going to be funny with the set, I'm going to hire you. And I try to put people up on the show that I know is going to bounce off of the other comics.
Yeah.
You know, so I really watch and listen and pay attention to who they are. And I don't care if you like me or not, but if I think that you're funny, I'm going to put you on my show, because that's what it's there for.
Well, I used to do a show. You did it was in New Britain at a pizza place. I did that several times. It's such a great crowd.
Roma's. Yeah. That was hot. Man. Matter of fact, I probably need to call him back, see, because that's been several years. I was doing a show in there's a restaurant which is fantastic. It's a restaurant / bar. It's called Roma's, and it's in New Britain, Connecticut. And they treated me so well over there. And we're getting like 75 to 125 people every show.
Wow, that's good.
Everybody was into it.
Yeah. And, you know, and it just came, not to me, it was too much, but I think too much for the club. You know, wintertime stuff, summertime stuff closes down a little bit, you know, the crowd dies down. And, you know, once you expect all this crowd and then it dwindles down, hey, I'm losing money, you know? Well, you're not losing money because you're 25 people is more than 25 that you had if you don't have a comedy show. You know, this is how my mind works.
Well, you know what's, you're going to laugh at this because, I mean, I used to keep track. I did 9 states, over 400 times behind the mic. And one of my favorite shows was a show that you did in Marion. I don't know if you mind me talking about this. It was the NA.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay, no, I want to talk about that because I love where you get your comedy from. And I want to get into that after, but you booked a show at Narcotics Anonymous, and believe it or not, people were listening, that the audience was great. I sold 10 DVDs that night.
Wow.
Everybody was into it. The funniest thing, though, I didn't even realize I was doing this because I love taking pictures. Anybody who knows me knows that's true. I started going in there taking pictures of myself and selfie, and everybody's, what are you doing? I didn't realize, I forgot. So after the end, everybody's taking selfies with me. They loved it. And that just popped up in a memory recently. That's what made me think of it. But that was probably one of my funniest shows. And very recently, I was at my job and all the cashiers were making fun of me. I go, oh, yeah, Rich the comedian. Some guy walks in, hey, it's the Claw. I started talking to him. He was from that show. We started talking. I said, oh, what show did you see me? He goes, oh, the show in Meriden. And I said, really? And it was so funny because, oh, I didn't realize that you actually were, you know, I knew you were a comedian, but maybe you're a little bit bigger than I thought. And then it changed their whole perception of me. It was hilarious.
That's funny. Yeah. It's called anonymous, Richard. We're not supposed to take pictures.
I'm all about selfies, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but it was funny. Somebody comes at me, what are you doing? Almost like ripping my phone out of my hand. But that was probably one of the funnest shows. I think sometimes when you don't expect too much, that's when I used to have the best time. When I would go in there expecting it to be a great place, like I did Comedy Connection in Rhode Island, the crowd was okay. Going to a show like what I just explained, better than it. So a lot of times I used to say, I'm going to have low expectations. I'm going to have a great time.
Right. I never know what to expect, you know?
Yeah. Well, the best part is I love this about you. If it's a good show or bad show, because nobody's going to have a good show all the time. You're always having fun. And that's what I love about you. You can tell you're on stage, and that's what makes it even more fun for the audience because you're having a good time on stage. You're telling funny jokes, and just watching you have fun makes it more fun for the audience.
Well, if you're not doing it for the fun, you know, the money is a bonus, right? And you know, a lot of times we don't get paid. It's just a guest spot or it's a small crowd, you don't get paid. So what are we doing it for? I do it because I love it, and I love to laugh. I love to have people laugh. I realize now that I have to wear my hearing aids because I don't hear the laughter. I see their faces. So, and if you know, like being in comedy, you got to tune yourself for the laughter because you can miss something.
Maybe all these years when I wasn't getting laughs, I just needed a hearing aid. That could explain a lot of silence during my set.
Hey, Dakota, come here. I'm sorry, I got to call my daughter back. She's the technical person here. The screens are locked up. I can't. Okay. How do you get this?
She got to give you an in-service.
How come it's not like live?
I mean, you're on our end, you're moving.
Yeah, no, you guys are just frozen.
Oh.
Okay. Wonderful.
All right.
Hey, that's Rich. That's my buddy Rich.
Yeah, I met you before. She probably doesn't remember me, but I've been over your house.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute.
And
by the way, I want to congratulate you. That was pretty damn good at the Palace, man.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I talked to several people about it. I'm like, yo, you guys gotta go check him out. He's just, Rich is rich anyway. He hit. I swear to God, man, if you were on the wildlife program, you could probably make a stew out of a skunk.
Never heard it quite put like that, but thank you. I like that. That's funny.
Because things just fall. It seems like it just falls for you, And like when you're doing your show, I took so much in about take any opportunity you can and make the best of it,
Yeah. No, well, thank you. That means a lot to me because I had such great feedback from that show, and it was all because I went to go and support one of my friends like you always do with comedy, when I want to talk about later. And I said, oh, I think I'd be interested in this. So she sent me a video and we'll talk about it. And then she goes, wow, I didn't realize you did this and this and this. And I was very happy when I loved, this was the first time I actually did it with the slide presentation, the PowerPoint. And I think for me, that adds so much more because it was so much fun just to look at the pictures and just make fun of what I was looking at. And I loved it. So
no, that was good. That was a good little extra right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich, turn it out.
I think they do that every year at the Palace. You would be a great presenter. I mean, you have such a fascinating life, and where you are now.
Oh, come on now.
I know you're very humble. You're very humble.
Like I told, what was your buddy Drew? Was Gregory?
Greg Dwyer.
Oh man, he's great. He's great. Right off the bat, I said, whatever you want to talk about. Yep. I said, you want to talk about growing up in suburbia, being like the only black family, or getting your certification for skydiving? He was like, what? I was like, yeah, we do skydive too.
Greg might be a little more sheltered than some of the other people.
Yeah. That's funny. I think I opened his eyes to some things.
I think you did. Well, let's talk about. Well, okay, Wibo's having a good time over there by himself. I'm not sure what's going on. I want to talk about where your comedy came from, because what was your upbringing like?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I told you a story. When I was little, I had a speech impediment. So I could not pronounce words. I had to go to speech classes for like 2 years. And my grandmother, I kid you not, my grandmother used to laugh at me all the time. And I like, so I'd be looking at her like, Grandma, what are you laughing at? And she would say, baby, you got to learn to laugh at yourself because everybody else is already laughing at you. So I kind of took humor from that and stuff, and once I became like the class, I was like I don't want to say the class clown, but I was always fooling around in school and I got in so much trouble. And, then one day I went to a comedy club. I don't know if you remember in Glassbury, they had a club called Billy Jack's.
No, that was before my time.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is probably 30 years ago. I went there and I was drinking back then. Yeah. And before the act started, I had tables laughing, what we call old school gag, and you just rank on everybody. Yeah. Doing like a Don Rickles set. And I had the tables laughing. And when the comic came up, the tables were all laughing at me because I was doing like a little bit. And he told me stand up on stage if I think I could do better. And I got up and did 8 minutes, like right off the bat.
Wow.
That's impressive because most people will just freeze. What's funny? A lot of people say, oh, it's easy to make your friends laugh. Try making a stranger laugh. For me, it was easier making a stranger laugh. I remember I had all my friends from the past come sit in the front row, and they're just sitting and staring at me. The people behind them, people who don't know me, were laughing at a lot of the jokes that I was doing. So for me, it was actually easier to make strangers laugh than friends. I'm not sure if you had that same experience. I don't know what they were expecting from me. Oh, that's Rich. We know he likes to tell jokes, but I don't know if it was funny that I had that experience where I can make a crowd of people who have no idea who I am laugh, but my friends would just stare at me.
Yeah, it's totally different having a strangers laugh than a friend and to be up on stage. Yeah. like I'm more comfortable with a larger crowd than I am like a mediocre crowd, like 20 people or so, because then, you know, I tend to focus on a smaller crowd than I would a larger crowd.
Do you improv a lot? Or do you have, I know you have a set, but do you go off script a lot if you see something funny happen in the audience? And do you plan, like, so I'm going to say for 10 minutes, I'm going to go off script and I'm just going to mess with the audience? Or do you just let it happen?
Well, you know what? The first thing I start doing now is like when I get up there and I think it makes people more comfortable is announcing that if you're easily offended, get the fuck out of here. And then you can see who's laughing right off the bat. So then I can focus on that table and then I start to scan the rooms, you know?
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot more crowd work than what I usually do, you know, my animation and stuff like that. But to get down and talk to the crowd, like the last show I did, I got down and I was talking to this older couple and the guy didn't want to answer nothing. His wife just thought it was hilarious. You know? They're in their late 60s, I would say. Who knows? But I told her, I said, I'm going to help you out in your relationship and it's going to help you both out. And I told her to take care of the morning wood.
You're proving a point that I always tell people. I said, you can make anything funny as long as you do it in a funny way. Some people try to be offensive intentionally, and to me, that's not really funny. But when you're just making a joke and you're not really trying to be funny, it's not really offensive, but you can make a joke about any topic. I mean, I don't get offended by anything. I think everything's funny. You can find humor in anything. But for some people who might be offended, the way you tell your jokes, you have a way of doing it. 60-year-olds to 15-year-olds, they're gonna laugh because the way it's your presentation of the joke.
Yeah, well, that's important. You know, you got to know yourself, and sometimes I still get lost.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'll tell you, to be honest, I'm like I tell people I'm not only a member, but I'm the president of the Fight Club. Because once I get off the stage, I'm saying, darn, I should have said this. I should have acted like that, you know? And then I was told, stop beating yourself up. Did you see anybody laugh? If you see one person laugh, you did what you're supposed to do.
No.
Just because a crowd of 100 people aren't laughing, don't mean they didn't have a good time.
But that's how I never really, I mean, I would beat myself up every once in a while, but for the most part, I would say, you know what? I have another show tomorrow. They're going to laugh tomorrow. So I would just, and I would say, I would try to take the experience, what you just mentioned. All right, I didn't say tonight, but I'm going to try it tomorrow. But it's funny because sometimes I would do 4 or 5 shows a week. I would do Connecticut, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island. Same set, completely different reactions from every crowd. So it's one time you're like, all right, this set kills. The next day they're just staring at you and you hear crickets. So you never could tell.
Oh, yeah. It's like when I was doing the Funny Bone, you know, and I like to thank the Funny Bone because they sure did put me out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you do 2 shows a night. First show was a killer. Second show, you do almost the same set, and they're like,
yeah. And that's why
you know,
I used to always take the words that George Carlin said to heart. He said, they laughed last night, they'll laugh tomorrow. It's not my fault, it's their fault. And that would be his way when he first started doing comedy, the way he would get over what the feeling that you were talking about of just beating yourself up. You know what's funny? And this is probably one of the best compliments I ever got. Because another great comedian that we work with, Artie Robb. He has done so much for me. He helped me out so much. You know what he said? Because you made a comment earlier. You said, oh, yeah, you love to shove that hand in people's faces. He goes, Rich, anytime you have a stage, I will put you up on there because I love the way whenever something goes wrong, you start shoving a hand in people's faces. So he used to work with some pretty well-known comedians. There was a comedian that was doing comedy for 25 years with the headliner. He was in the movie Cop Out with Tracy Morgan. So he was talking about, I asked him, I said, how long do you think I've been doing comedy? He goes, the way you were on stage and your mannerisms, the way you're presented it. He goes, I would say at least 7 years. I said, no, it's been 8 months. And he was shocked. To me, that was even better than, I think you're hilarious. The fact that he goes, you just go up there, you're confident, you know what you're saying, and the way you told your jokes. So that was probably out of all the years the 4 years I did comedy, was one of the greatest compliments, especially coming from somebody that was doing it for 25 years.
Yeah. I remember I went to see John Weatherspoon, and I was in the audience, and I said to myself, I want to get up there and do that. I want to get up there and do that. And that's when I first started really getting into the shows and stuff like that. And I took a picture with him and I talked to him about stuff. And he said, listen, if you got a set, don't let anybody discourage you from your set. You keep doing you. Just be you. And a year later, I opened up for him.
Oh, that must have been a thrill.
But see, we were also doing all them shows too. Remember that time we went to New York and did 5 shows in one night?
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got off stage from one show, ran down the street to the subway, ran to another show. I left my jacket in one place in the wintertime because we're in such a rush.
Yes. I do remember that day very well. It was so much fun. And for you, do you still get jitters right before you go on stage, or are you very comfortable saying, all right, let's just do it, and then just go up there? Or do you still get jitters?
Yeah, I get like before I even go up, I don't care. I can't talk to anybody. I got to be alone for like 3 minutes or something like that. And it seems like I got to let my energy out. So I do a burst yell. And you're talking about Artie Robb, like Artie schooled me on some stuff and he pays attention. I love Artie. He got heart. He's a good guy. And he's very, he directs you in the right way for you. And he was telling me, with no offense, that I have 2 different voices. And when I go to my baritone voice, my sets aren't that good. So, I got to bring the energy up, and I'm up on stage. I'm talking like this and everything. But when I start going, hey, how you doing? My set doesn't really.
That's funny. I never noticed that.
Oh, yeah. See.
Yeah.
I listen. See, I have to listen to people.
Yeah.
I don't see myself on stage. So what am I doing? Like, I'm not one to video myself a lot, which I need to get into doing that more. Like I do, I go to the park every day. I go by a body of water and I'll do a set on my phone. Like I have an idea. And at my age, I don't know how old you are, brother, but at my age, I get up in the middle of the night and have to use the bathroom. And then I have a thought, like I'll say, let's do a skit on midgets playing soccer. And I'll write that down, and then when I get up in the next morning, I'm thinking about how can I incorporate that into my act? Because if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget it by morning.
Oh, yeah. No, I was the same way, too. I'd have a great idea. Then the next morning I'd wake up. What was I thinking? What did I do? So I started doing the same thing, just jotting down a couple keywords. So then I would go from there. And it was funny because I like hiking in Sessions Woods and where is that? The Burlington area. And I used to do the same thing. It's a 3-mile trail. I'd be walking around talking on my phone. A lot of times I thought I was alone. A couple times I looked up and I see people just staring at me. What is he doing with his hand? What's he talking about? Who's he talking to? But that was the best way for me to develop my set. Just take off for a while and just work it out and keep doing it over and over again until I got the way I wanted it. And then when I get up on stage, it would just be completely different.
Yeah. It's funny when you talk about you like hiking and stuff. I'm going camping next week, and I had wrote a skit before where I went camping, and you never see people color camping. You really don't see much of them. And I love this spot. It's called Housatonic Meadow State Park. It's out in Sharon, Connecticut. So I'm the only person of color out there, and people are looking, and I put it in a joke. So I put tape. The thick tape on the tent, like it was ripped. And then I came back, like we went swimming, came back, and there was a coffee jar full of money because they thought I was homeless.
Yeah. Oh, man. Here's some.
So I actually had a weekend and got paid for it.
Wow.
We're just here to help you out. I'm sorry for your situation.
Wow.
Well, for people who don't know who I am, I have cerebral palsy, so maybe I should play the handicapped angle.
Work it, brother. Work it.
You got to go with what your strong points are. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of when you said that you used to book comedians that worked well together, you and I had a great skit, especially if you went on first. You have the whole handicap stall joke, and then that would be a great lead on for me when I came in. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm late. I was waiting for some guy in the stall, and so we used to play.
Tell the truth, Rick. Tell the truth. You would tell them, put him up first, so I could work off of his.
Well, you know, I did that with him or you. And I also did it with Rodney Norman. He's another great guy, great comedian.
Oh, yeah.
But I used to always tell Rodney, I said, you put the ball up and then let me hit it out of the ballpark, because he has so many great jokes and he's hilarious. And it's sad. I interviewed him not too long ago, and he was saying that he has trouble getting booked because he's a clean comic. I said, why is that a deterrent? He said, a lot of clubs don't like it because I do clean comedy. That's stupid. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, I booked him for, I do the Elks Lodge, 957 in New Britain. They treat me well over there. We've been doing that for like 3 years over there, and we get a good crowd over there. And I had Rodney over there. I think it was the first or second show, and he had a lady pissed her pants.
No.
Oh, it's funny.
Literally, I'm looking at her laughing, and then her face just went. And she whispered to her husband. I said, "Oh no, I seen it. I knew what happened, And they gave her a coat. She walked out. But every show we do out there, we do like 3 shows a year out there, and they sell out. They definitely sell out. And I thank them for allowing me to come there. But somebody always mentions that.
That is hilarious. I never heard that story. Well, you talked about booking shows. To me, and you've done a lot of the same comedy clubs I did. Funny Bone, Joker's Wild, Comedy Connection in Rhode Island. There's a couple other ones that we've done all over the different states. But booking our own shows was my favorite, because I got to play with the comedians that I liked. We had a great time, and I usually made it a benefit, which people love laughing and they love doing it for a good cause. So I had 2 benefits for Relay for Life, one for the veterans, and you were, I think, on all 3 of them. And every time I did one, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. The last show, it was at 5 o'clock, and the woman had to call in extra help because she was, I didn't expect anybody to be here till 7:30. And I know the shows that you're doing too. They're always the Romas, the NA show. I'm just using the Elks Lodge you're talking about. They're always booked.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been very fortunate with the comedy when I produce my own shows and stuff. And it's funny because I was just talking to another comic guy. I had a guest spot, which I don't care. I'll do a guest spot for a comic.
Yeah.
If I know them and I know that it's going to be appreciated, and I go downstairs, I knew 4 people were coming, and there was 22 people that I knew there. And the comic that hosted the show, I'm going to throw his name out, Mo Green.
Oh yeah, I know him well.
Mo is, to see how much this gentleman has just climbed up, because now he's doing more impersonations. But we had a sold out crowd, and he realized how difficult it is to promote the show, produce the show, host the show, and still do a set. It gets to be too much. You got to have some point in time, for me, I got to have somebody like host the show for me. Yeah. Because I'm setting up the equipment, I'm doing all this other stuff, and I want to like a lot of shows that I do for myself, I headline my shows. Yeah. And I switch it over. So because you don't want to do the same set, you want people to be entertained all the time. But it's a lot of energy to do all 5 things for this show.
When I first started, a friend of mine owned a bar/restaurant, and I was doing monthly shows, and I think you were on several of those shows too. But Mo Green, he said he always so appreciative. He said that was the first paid show he ever got as a comedian. I haven't talked to him in a while, but the last time I talked to him, he still remembered. He goes, "You gave me my first paying show. Thank you very much." And yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah,
he's good. I like Mo.
But I did the same thing too. After a while, I stopped hosting because it was a lot. And what I like about you is that not only do you support other comedians, you go to other shows not expecting to be on a show, but you're also great at promoting. What used to get me so mad, and I'm sure you go through this too, is you get a comedian who doesn't even mention it on his social media, doesn't even tell anybody he's playing there, wants to get paid, does his 10 minutes, just walks out, doesn't even watch the rest of the comedians. I would remember things like that, and I would never book them again. But so you, Karina, Dave Sheehan, Mo. I mean, I can name so many great comedians. Rodney, Artie. They were always so appreciative. You're always great. You stayed to the very end, and that's why you're still doing what you're doing.
You know, one thing I told people right off from the beginning, and it pisses some people off, and I don't give a, you know, like my grandmother used to say, if their name's not on your check, but
I like your grandma. She has a lot of wisdom.
If you support other comics, okay? If it's a $10 fee, don't try to get in for free. That's not supporting.
Yeah.
Support them. Pay the fee that, you know, $10 or whatever. If you get in free, that's fine and dandy. But then don't stand there and try to demand to get some stage time, and you don't get it, then you leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't understand. It works for some people. I myself, I can't understand the concept of that. You know, maybe I'm just from a different era. Maybe this is the new wave or something like that. Like, I have no problem, you know, going to the club, paying the fee, because that's what I call supporting other comics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, you know what, with you, because you're confident in what you do, and there's no ego with you, and also there's no insecurity. So many of the comics, I remember I've had so many comics like, why do you always look like you're so happy when you're on stage? I'm having fun. And a lot of them would say, you actually have fun doing this? And I used to say, why are you even doing this? They thought they would get up on stage, be seen by somebody, oh, you got a 5 Comedy Central deal or 5 special Comedy Central deal. And it's like, it's not going to work like that. Just do it because you want to have fun. Do it because you like it. Don't do it to become a star or make millions of dollars, because most of the time that's not going to happen. But I ran into so many different comedians that were so insecure and like, why did this person get that show? And I used to say, they didn't get the last spot. Why don't you worry about yourself and get your own spot? And with you, I like that, because you're confident in what you do. You know you're good, and you don't have to worry about anybody else.
Yeah, you know, and this is one thing. I don't care when I go on.
Yeah.
You know, you want to put me up first? Put me up first. Like, I'll tell everybody, I'm here to work with you.
Well,
I'm here to work with you.
Rob Santos is a great guy. I'm sure you know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he got mad at me one time, so I put him on first. And I said, Rob, the reason I put you on first is because you are the funniest comedian here. I want you to set the tone for the night. And then he said, oh, okay, thank you. But at first he did get mad at me. He goes, well, what do I go? I'm funnier than them. I said, no, I know you are. That's why I do that. I said, I want the show to start off with a bang. And yeah, I was surprised by that. But when he realized what I was doing, I said, I want the show to be as strong as it could be, and you were the strongest comedian there that night.
Yeah. A lot of people think that you got to go on last, and that's the headline position. You know, technically it is, but okay, let's get this. Let me just say, we're all here to work together. We're all here to have the people laugh in the audience.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to have each other laugh, bounce off each other, and have a good time. Sometimes people forget that.
I know.
You know, if I'm not going to have a good time, why am I going back?
Exactly. That's why, you know, I did comedy for a couple of years, and I sort of became bored with it. But then I found other things, which I still, as you saw in the second half, I still get to tell some jokes and talk about myself and other things. And I'm having a great time doing it. I still get to, no matter what, over the years, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always doing something where I'm either entertaining the crowd or doing something creative. And I always have to be doing something creative.
Yeah, I always got to do something. That's like, you know, I try to get back into the guitar, playing guitar. How do I get this to go? Hold on, trying, because nothing else is moving. Full screen. Nothing's moving. Yeah, no, so I keep occupied. Like, you know, I like to go hiking.
Yeah. And
do stuff. And, you know, of course, I ride the motorcycle and stuff like that. But to do something for myself, I picked up the guitar again, you know.
Good. Did you play guitar in the past?
I used to try to, and I was doing a lot of classes, and I like, actually what I like is Latin and classical music.
Yeah.
And when I tell people that, they're like, what kind of brother are you?
Well, one of my favorite jokes, and it's probably old to you now, but it's fresh in my mind because that's one of the last times I've seen you do comedy, was The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of, depending upon the room, I'll switch that over now. I realize, you know, you get an urban crowd, you can't do that one, so I'll do a Curtis Mayfield or something like that, switch it over.
Yeah, well, that's what's good with you. You're very adaptable to the crowd because, as we said, you can have 5 shows, 5 days, same set, completely different reactions. But that's good that you're able to do that. Now,
I did a I did a show for a church one time, a function, and the deacon came up and grabbed a microphone. Because I did a skit talking about how when, you know, back in the day, you have to have respect for your elders. You go to a cookout, you can't eat everybody's stuff. You can't eat everybody's collard greens. You can't eat everybody's potato salad. But if they have a little bit on their plate, you try a little bit, you know? So I went to this one cookout, and the lady said, baby, you got to try my collard greens. I taught your mama how to cook the collard greens, and she put a big spoonful. She said, baby, you got to try my potato salad. I taught your sister how to make my potato salad, and she did a big spoonful. So I ate her potato salad, I ate her collard greens, and I went to church the next day. I'm sitting next to Mrs. V in church, and my stomach started growling. She said, baby, are you okay? I said, my stomach don't feel good. And it started growling. I said, God. And she goes, is good. And my stomach started growling again. I knew I had to break some wind. I said, Jesus. And she goes, praise him.
Has anybody ever asked you to make your comedy more generic so you have a bigger audience?
I'm sorry?
Has anybody ever asked you to make your comedy more generic so you can have a bigger audience?
No.
The reason no, nobody. The reason I asked you is because somebody wanted me to play the Woolcott Fair, and then somebody wanted me to play. Actually, it was a Buddhist church, and I said no, my comedy is not for that. And somebody was, well, you should make your comedy more generic. I said, you know, I'd rather have a smaller group of people that love me for my, because I like, you know, you have to like the jokes that you say instead of being generic and saying, yeah, that guy, what was his name? Yeah, I guess he had some good jokes, but I don't really remember anything he said. Or somebody that really the rabid following of, but they may be smaller. But I was wondering if anybody that happened to you, because people were trying to tell me, oh, well, you should do this, and I said, you know what? I know my sense of humor. I like what I do, and if you like it, come along. If not, get out of the way.
Yeah, actually, someone did. They wanted me to do a show for like kids, and they said I had to clean up my set. And I said, how old is your audience? I said, because I do adult humor. It goes from A to Z. It might be clean 1 second, but then it might go somewhere. And she goes, well, just clean it up a little bit. I said, why don't you go hire a clown?
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, you know what?
Needless to say, I didn't get that gig.
Yeah, they're the ones missing out on that one. Well, you talked about your grandma a couple of times. You talked about church. Does a lot of your humor come from your upbringing? I know we mentioned a little bit because you have a lot, like I mentioned in the intro, a lot of your humor talks about, you know, with your daughter, and then talks about some of the things you did as a child. Are a lot of those just embellishments of what you really did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most of the 95% of my jokes are like true life stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Whether it comes at like I do a skit on dating, being in recovery. I'm coming up on 20 years in recovery.
Congratulations.
And, yeah, thank you. You know, so if you can't laugh at that, I mean, like I said, you gotta laugh at yourself.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I think that is a great attitude to have, because you have to have a thick skin. I think so many people are way too sensitive and they worry way too much what other people think. I can really care less. If you like me, come along for the ride. If you don't, get out of the way, like I said before. And there's plenty of people who said, well, I don't think you're funny. I said, all right, well, thank you. But there's other people like, Rich, you're hilarious. So I love the fact that your grandmother actually taught you that at an early age. Don't be so sensitive. Come on. Laugh at yourself. It's true. You have to have a thick skin, and it's the only way you can get through life. You can't worry about what everybody thinks.
Yeah, no, it'll ruin you. I remember doing the show, and there's a comic. I forget his name, but I think he's coming to the Funny Bone. He wears glasses, reddish hair, and he heckles everybody. If you he does a set, but if you try to heckle him, he's gonna eat you up. And I remember I was at the Funny Bone, and somebody started talking, and they were trying to heckle me. And if you don't, we had this conversation with the gentleman last weekend. How do you handle hecklers? And he said once somebody told him before, you let them go. Don't pay no attention to them. No, you can't do that, because other people join in and now messes you up. And I remember taking it personal at this one lady. And I'm like, you know what? I'm up here for fun. And I did a circle on the stage, and I came back and I did like 8 minutes just heckling her back. And she threw a drink at me.
Oh, man.
Wow.
But for me, and I see people handling it differently for them. Everybody got their own little way how to handle it. I see people jump off stage at people, get up in their toes. And I really got offensive to it at first. And I said, wait a minute, this is all for fun. Why am I getting, so I looked at it in a different way. And I didn't go in on her evil, but it was humorous. And the crowd started laughing. Her girlfriend started laughing. And actually, I brought them a drink after the show, and I don't even drink.
All right.
I have to say, the best heckle I ever got was when I was in New Hampshire one time. It wasn't, you didn't come this time, and I was doing a show, and I hear this drunk girl in the back, "You're hot, you're hot." I said, this is the nicest town I've ever been in. I've never been heckled like this. She was so trash, but she was... Let's just say I did get her number, and we did hang out for a while after the show. But
you're an animal.
But that was probably like my favorite. I never really got heckled that badly, but for other times, that was the one time where she would not stop. "You're hot."
Yeah, I never got heckled like that. Yeah.
Well, the funniest thing is because for people who watch the show, I have cerebral palsy. It affects my right hand. And I make a lot of jokes, or I used to make a lot of jokes about that. And I had a couple girls, and they're like, "I really want to see what that right hand does." And I said, "Your husband's right there. I'm going to get killed." "I don't care. Please show me." I was laughing so hard. And other people, I came out with one DVD. Then my next DVD was going to be all the rejection letters saying, "I will never have you on a show again. You freaked out my girlfriend. You freaked out the crowd."
Wow.
But other people loved it. So that's why I said, you can't, I never really worried about it. You can't please everybody. And I never tried to. I always had a good time. If it was a good show or a bad show.
Yeah, you got to go out and have a good time. And just remember, if one person laughs, hey.
Well, I can tell you where that actually worked in my favor. One time, there was one person laughing. Nobody was really laughing. He goes, "Rich, I want to book you on a show." I said, "Okay." I mean, out of all the people that weren't laughing, they didn't say a word. He goes, "Yeah, I run shows, and I'd love to have you on." He was somebody from Rhode Island.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I excite. People used to say it was Floyd Whitehead. I forgot his brother's name. He's on Larry David show, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, JB Smooth.
Yeah, JB Smooth's brother. He one time we were doing a show together, and the crowd was not into it at all. So I did a set, nobody was really into it. He did a set, nobody was into it, and he walked off. He goes, "I can't work." I said, "I'll go on again," because there was no new crowd. I did another set. He goes, "Well, how do you do that?" I said, "I don't really care. I'm having a great time." And you try to get the crowd into it, but yeah, he just like in the middle of it said, "Yeah, okay, man, thanks a lot. Have a good night." It was after 5 minutes. He just couldn't deal with the crowd anymore.
It's tough. I did a show. I don't want to name him in the club, but they just weren't feeling me, and the energy level for me just disappeared. And I remember I just dropped the mic. I said, "Look, you're not feeling me. I'm not feeling you." Dropped the mic, and the owner came, picked up the mic, and he said, "You owe me $150 for the mic." I turned around, came back up on stage, turned it on. I said, "Tested 1, 2." I said, "It works," and walked out and never went back.
I love it. What was for not the shows that you booked, but for clubs, what was your favorite that you played at?
Something about the energy that I had working at the Broadway Comedy Club.
Oh yeah.
But I love the atmosphere from the Funny Bone.
Yes.
Just how like we've done other stages and stuff like that, and it's you feel confined or something like that, and maybe it's because I've done the show there where I know my limit of the stage, where I could step at and how to use the wall, how to use a corner of the stage. But I am so comfortable up on the stage at the Funny Bone. Hey Frederick, I would love to get back out there.
Come again.
Well, I can say that the best reactions I had for my show were either at comedy clubs or the benefit shows, because like I said, people love to laugh and they also love to give for a good cause. But when people know when it's a comedy club, they know they're going to see comedy. I've done so many shows at restaurants where people are going, huh? Like Roma's is a bad example because that was a great show. But I did other shows. I got to tell you a story what happened to me. There was a restaurant I did in Woodbury, and there's a woman in the middle of the floor in a wheelchair. So she just sat there staring at me when I'm making my jokes. And finally I said, I'm not leaving the stage until you at least crack a smile. Nothing. And I kept on saying joke after joke. Yeah, so afterwards, she rolls up to me and says, you know what? I don't think that's funny. I said, well, I'm sorry for that, but everybody else here was going to disagree with you. They loved it. And she goes, you shouldn't be making fun of the handicap. I said, first of all, I'm not making fun. I'm telling you how much I love being handicapped and all the things it's done for me. She goes, I just don't think it's right. And she didn't mean to do it, but it was the best exit ever. She had one of those motorized wheelchairs. She ran over my foot and took off. Ooh, but I found out later she had no idea there was comedy going on, and she thought there was going to be some kind of magic show. And that's why I brought that up, was because when I went to restaurants like that, people would be either like, I'm trying to eat my dinner. What's going on here? Why is this guy sticking his hand in my face? Or I thought it was going to be a magic show. I didn't realize there was going to be comedy. So the best shows were the real comedy clubs like Funny Bone and benefits. Yeah.
I remember the Swedish.
Yes.
Swedish club in Bristol.
I love that place.
Yeah, that was a crowd over there, and they just wanted to come out and laugh and cry. And every time you did that show over there, I had a great time. Gosh, it's a big difference when someone, like I'm sure you had a show like that where you see people like this.
Yes.
No.
Don't.
Lost him.
Get shut off.
I don't know. We have to do some editing on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was going well too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'm going to put it on pause.
Why come out?
I know exactly.
And I remember having a bad set one time. And like I said, I beat myself up, and people said, "Oh, that wasn't good." I said, "Hey, you ever have a bad day at work too?"
I know, it's true. I remember, Joanna Raposa. Speaking of hosts, I made her the official host of my last couple of shows because she loved hosting, and I liked what she did. But she had this. There was something through Meetup.com or something like that. Whatever. It was Meetup, and she contacted all these people, had them come to a couple of the shows, and they just sat there, 3 different shows, bored out of their mind. We're doing just like what you're saying, like this. And I said, Joanne, don't even invite them anymore. They are the least fun. I don't even know what they're expecting, what they came to see, but they didn't come to see comedy. Not one comic got a laugh from them, not one reaction. They just went in there with a bad attitude. Yeah, so don't even go if that's going to be how you're going to go there, because you want to have fun.
Yeah. The one of the shows I did, I remember there was a young couple, because I try to walk around, talk to everybody before the show, and they pointed out the Prudence lady. They're like the golden ladies in the corner, and I was headlining the show. They didn't laugh or anything, and I said, I gotta get them. I yanked the cord and went right up to them and started going You know, I did several little jokes for them, and they loosen up, and then they come up to me after the show. I had the best time of my life. But for like 37 minutes, 40 minutes, they're like they're sucking a bad lemon, you know? And I couldn't stop because I was focused on them too much. I couldn't stop until one of them laughed. And I think I did, what's the lady's name? Was Maud's name? Maud from the Golden Girl, Blanche, or what?
Yeah, no, Blanche was the other one. I can't remember what her name was, but yeah.
Well, I
Blanche.
called one of them that one.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I said, yeah, you look like, you know, three ladies like the Golden Girls. And I called them one of them. And I just looked at him. I said, but I'll do you. You know, and then from that point, they loosened up a little bit. You know, and I had to ask them if, you know, I said, you know, Valentine's Day just passed a little bit. And they're like, what does they have to do with it? I said, it has nothing to do with it. I just want to know if you like dark chocolate.
I guess we found out later that they do, which is good.
Oh my gosh. They want to change my last name to Yum Yum. I got to tone it down. My daughter's in the other room. Don't get me going.
We have the Marcellino Moose Hill comedy special here right now, just live from Britain. You go by the nickname Moose. Where'd that come from?
Once again, my grandmother. My first name is Marcellino, so she could not say it. She used to say Mussolini.
What are you, Italian dictator?
Yeah, but my sister's like, oh no. I didn't go by Marcellino. Nobody really knew. I run in people that I went to school with, and like if I did a show, they say Marcellino, and I walk out, they're like, what's your first name? They did, because I never went by that. I always went by Moose or Moosey.
Yeah.
But if it was a pretty girl, I'll say, hi, my name is Marcellino.
See, that's the one time the baritone voice does work. It's on the ladies.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, it's funny. Who are some of your influences growing up, and who are the comedians that you like now?
You know, this is funny because somebody just asked me that the other day. Listen, I still got Nipsy Russell albums.
Oh yeah, Nipsey Russell, huh? Wow.
Oh yeah, Mom Mabley.
Yep.
Bill Cosby.
Oh.
What's that guy's name? Don Rickles.
Oh, that guy, he's hilarious. You know what's funny? I saw him at the Oakdale probably about 98, 99. And he was doing the same set he was doing in the 60s and 70s, but he's still hilarious. And I think his jokes are even more relevant now because with the whole PC culture. But yeah, he's hilarious. And I love the fact that he can make fun of everybody. He makes fun of the stereotypes. And this is the point I was making. You could be funny and some people would take it as offensive, but if you do it in a funny way, it's not offensive. And that's how he was. He would just tear people apart, but he'd do it in a funny way and everybody was laughing.
Yeah. I remember I used to do a joke about Obama.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the guys, the booker, I think it was one of the clubs in New York. They told me don't do it.
Right.
Don't do the joke. I did a joke and I got laughs. I mean, I got some laughs and stuff. And then I come back to Connecticut and they, because we got certain jokes that you do. And they said, don't do it. And I forgot who was on the show, but they did a political joke and the guy didn't say nothing to them. And it was, I don't want to say terrible, but it was brutal.
Yeah.
And nothing was said. I don't like to be like harsh in my stuff. I like to do stuff for laughs. And, some people like up in your face and make somebody uncomfortable and other people laugh. But that person right there feels like shit. I personally can't do that too much. And this person was going in on the presidents and, just politics itself and made a lot of people uncomfortable. But the booker loved it and kept booking the guy. But yeah, I was told, don't do that one joke. Because, back then we had to send little clips.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, it's funny. Growing up, my father had a lot of the Bill Cosby records, and I remember listening to it, and I thought it was hilarious. And somebody was I saw a documentary called Comedian with Jerry Seinfeld, and he said he would watch Bill Cosby. He'd do 2 sets, 3 hours each set, and completely different every time. Yeah. He just, no matter what people think about him in his personal life, he was hilarious. He had a great, I don't know if you remember the album where Noah. Yes.
Well, remember Flip Wilson too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Look how much different stuff that he did. And I remember when we went to New York and we did the 5 different shows, and I was watching Bill Cosby do a couple sets, because I was YouTubing them and stuff, how he sat down, like some shows he sat down. And I said, let me do that. And we did one show. I remember I was running around stage, did another show, sat down, went to another club, and I was standing up. And then I think we ended it at Comic Strip Live or Broadway, and one of the clubs. And the guy comes up to me and said, look, I seen you at 2 different clubs tonight, and you did 2 different sets. What is your name?
Yeah.
No, exactly. And once I say Marcellino, they're like, Marcellino.
I know, Marcellino.
That guy with the that name, I'm not going to forget that. And he told me to come back the following week. Oh, it was Al Martin. It had to be Al Martin.
What club was this?
Al, as in Al from Broadway.
Oh, Broadway. Okay, yeah. I played there. Yeah. I did that club once, and I love the Stand. I love Gotham Comedy Club. That was another great club in New York. Stand Up New York, I did. Yeah, there's a lot of great comedy clubs in New York. The one I never got a chance to play, and I would love to, is Caroline's. But I know some people that had like up and coming artist specials where they were able to do sets. So I'm not sure how they got that or who they knew, but that was out of all the clubs in New York, because I know I saw you at the Stand before. You did a great job there, and I think somebody recorded that for you.
Yeah, I wish I could find them all. I did Caroline's too, and there's a small club. I can't think of this guy's name right now. Gosh, it was in a basement, but what a crowd that always came out there, man.
Oh, the Cellar.
Huh?
Was it the Cellar?
No, is another. It began with a K. The black a black gentleman that would run it, and
that one I never did.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't a big room, but it was always packed. And everybody always, I must have did it 9 times. Everybody always had a good time. Wow. That's the stuff that that's what draws me, man.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I feed off the crowd. When the crowd's really into it, there was you remember, actually our friend AJ, he just hosted one of your shows recently. Yeah. He did a show at Strange Brew. I think it's Strange Brew Club, Norwich, whatever it was. Yep. But one time he goes, Rich, just come down here, do 15 minutes. And it was one of those things where the crowd was so into it. There was so much fun. I ended up doing 45 minutes. So it was one of those times where it just kept going back and forth. They would say something, I would say something back. And AJ's like, keep going. I loved it. So that was what I bring that up only because that reminds me of what you just said, like a small room, great crowd. And you could just, that was when I always have my favorite times when I wasn't thinking about what I was doing. It would just happen. If sometimes you go up on stage and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and it's sometimes I don't want it to sound too planned, but when you get like a good set where just let it go, you have the most fun.
Yeah. That's what it's about. I loved it, and it's funny because I remember I was telling you this a couple of weeks ago where I was talking to my friend about AJ, and we went out somewhere. And I looked up and I heard, holy cow. And I was like, this is the gentleman I was just talking about.
That's funny.
And that's when I booked him for my show. And he just flipped. And what a great job did he do. We had the last show I did, I had AJ hosting. I had Brian, Barbecue, what he goes by now, Barbecue. I always like that. I don't care what anybody says. I always like that guy. He's to me, he's hilarious. And who else did I have on that show at that time? God, I'm having brain farts at this age.
I saw was Mo on that show?
No, not the last show.
Okay. I did see the pictures. I saw AJ, I saw Brian. I'm trying to remember who else I saw, but I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot who, so forgive me, but I forgot who it was and stuff. You know, actually, I'm on a couple of shows next week and stuff like that. And then I'm doing one August 6th. It's a little park in West Hartford called Gastro Park. They have food trucks and it's like a little beer place and stuff. It's outdoor thing and it's going to be nice, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to. I haven't been to a comedy show in a long time. Looking forward to getting back, and I'll definitely be seeing you on the comedy circuit, supporting you like you've always done for me and other people. So
always good seeing you, Rich.
Yeah, well, we're not done yet, unless you have to go, because I still have plenty more things to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
All right. Well, let's talk about your influences, Nipsey Russell, and all that, Flip Wilson. For current comics, I think I heard you mention this before, and he's probably one of my favorites, is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Because not only is he hilarious, but he's very intelligent. He makes, especially now, I've heard a lot of his newer stuff. He's becoming more and more, not an activist, but he's becoming more and more like maybe I would say activist. Because he makes so many great points, and he's still funny at the same way, similar to the later years of George Carlin. And I respect that, and I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he's so intelligent, and I mean, he hit his topics from A to Z. You know, he covers everything. Another comic that I actually had a privilege to work with for, I think I did 2 different times with him, was the comic Red Grant.
Who's that?
Red Grant. He is a funny comic. I think he's from like Atlanta and stuff, but I keep up with him on Facebook and stuff like that. And he's hot now. He's all over the place. He opens up for Cat Williams, but I just think that cat is like hilarious. Just sitting down, talking to him and seeing his stage presence, how he uses his body, uses the stage and stuff like that. You know, he's all animated and stuff like that. So I like that shit, man. But I mean, not only is he funny, but to sit down and talk with someone, you know, before, after, and during the show, and gives you some tips and stuff, you know, hey, maybe try this, try that. You know, a lot of people don't take that. It's not criticism, it's active. I mean, I think it's good advice.
Yeah, well, it's advice. I don't mind constructive criticism. I just don't like when somebody trashes you just because they're mad or like they're trying to be mean. That I don't like. But if somebody goes, Rich, maybe try it better this way. It might work for you better. Yeah, I'm all for that. And constructive criticism can make you so much better if you have the confidence to actually take it instead of
I'll sit here and listen. I'll sit there and listen. You know, if it's going to help me out, I'm going to tuck it away over here and stuff. And see, I don't have that ego where I'm going to get upset, but it also depends upon how they come at you with it.
Exactly. It's all in how it's said. Because I know people are just mean because they're either jealous or they're mad because they weren't on the show. And it's like, I'm not even going to listen to you because that's not coming from a point of like trying to help me out. You're just trying to be an asshole about it. But other people, so like you said, Artie Robb did the same thing for me too. He goes, Rich, because he put me on a lot of shows. He goes, Rich, try this, do this, maybe. And I listened to him, and a lot of things he said worked. So yeah. Because he comes from a place, he knows what he does, and he's not threatened by anybody else saying, "Oh, well, this guy's going to take my spot." So he goes, "No, I'm just here to help you. You know, I think you're funny. I want to help you out." And yeah, I love that attitude.
Yeah. If somebody comes at me negative for something, I just look at him and say, "I can't hear you." What?
the old Helen Keller of comedy.
Yeah, I'll take a hearing aid out. Wait a minute.
You know what I think the funniest thing, I mentioned this during my second act, but probably one of the funniest things when I was doing comedy was because I used to hold the mic in my right hand. People didn't even realize I was handicapped. So I used to have these drunk people like, "Are you really handicapped?" And I think it was Artie Robb one time. He goes, "Nah, man, he's just fucking with you. If you were handicapped, you'd be the funniest fucking one here." And he just walked away. That happened 3 times to me. The best was it was at the social club, the one in Berlin. Where is it? The one I mentioned, the Polish social club. But I was doing a show there, and I was taking. My mother actually came from Cape Cod. My brother was there, so we're taking pictures. I said the seriously funny banners. I was getting a picture. All of a sudden, some guy comes up to me. "I just want to say you're the funniest fucking cripple I ever met. I said, Mom,
Hold on,
aren't
I'm
you
not going away.
ruined my big moment right there?
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to say, so besides people thinking I was faking it, the funniest thing was when I was getting a picture. My mom came from Cape Cod. My brother, we were taking a picture behind the seriously funny CYRIOUSLY funny productions, and some guy goes, "I just want to say you're the funniest fucking cripple I ever met." And I said, "Mom, aren't you proud of me?" She goes, "That's my son right there."
Yeah, that's nice when family comes out and stuff and supports you.
Support, yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mentioned it again the second. I have the best friends, the best family. I mean, all the shows I did in comedy, they sold out for the most part. The book signing I did was the biggest local author book signing I ever did in Barnes & Noble. Second act, they said, was the first one that sold out, and they had one of the biggest crowds for that particular show. So I really do appreciate people like you and the rest of my friends and family, because anything I do, you guys are always out there supporting me, and I really do appreciate it.
That's what it's about, brother. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So do you see any up and coming comics? I know we mentioned, the classics. Besides Dave Chappelle, any newer comics that you see might be making it? Anybody in Connecticut, do you see, in your opinion, that might make it to the next level?
Oh man, like I told this gentleman last weekend, there's so much talent here in Connecticut. I don't think Connecticut gets enough recognition.
Yeah.
Like Brandon Marshall. So mean, you can't take none away from him. He's freaking just his stage presence. He's hilarious. I think Artie is great too. There's so many great people out here, and this is a funny business and funny situation, because you could be on this set I remember hearing talking to Sinbad one time, right? It was out at the Hookie Lounge.
Oh yeah.
I was ripping some jokes for him, and he's like, "Give me your card. Seriously, give me your card." I left my cards. He goes, "Too late." But he was talking about how long he was doing comedy before he even got discovered. So some people, you're putting 10, like I'm coming up on 10 years or so, which isn't much, but I see people do 3 years and they're like out because they just happen to run into the right people at the right time.
Exactly.
Take advantage. And, some people have been out here for 20 years and they're still just doing local clubs and stuff, but they're so talented that they should be out in, like, I swear they should be in LA and stuff doing that stuff. But it's all dependent upon, you never know who you're going to run into. So bring that set, like Karina used to say, you got to bring that energy and bring that consistency all the time.
Well,
because you never know who's going to be seeing you. And now all it takes is that one person.
Well, similar to my experience with Jeff Ross in Nashville, where he goes, "Yeah, here you go." And he gave me the mic, and I said, "I'm going to do my set." So I did about 5-10 minutes, and it went extremely well. The crowd was laughing and cheering so loud I couldn't even hear myself. It was so much
wonderful
fun.
There.
Yeah. So that's why I love that. You and I have that's probably why we get along so well, because we have the same mentality. It's like, always be ready and don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Just worry about yourself and have fun. And those three things have got me through the 4 years I did comedy. And that's why I laugh. I mentioned before, when people say, "Oh yeah, I've done comedy for 3 years, I'm not doing this anymore." It's like, you're in the larvae stages of comedy. I know people that 20 years, and I mean, I could see sets from one of my favorite comedians is Bill Burr from the Dave Chappelle show. He was on there for a while, and I saw sets from him 15 years ago. He's still doing the same jokes, but he completely changed around. You just work out your set. People thought that, oh, you can only do this joke for like one or two times and you got to change your set. It's not like a band where, you got to like keep writing. I mean, you have to develop it and make it funnier and work it for you. But I mean, don't say the same jokes over and over again, but don't just do it once or twice and say, all right, I have to write a completely new set. Let it evolve. And I see different, when big comedians that made it, and I watched clips from 20 years ago, and they were still doing the same jokes, but just working it out. And
right.
I think that the reason I bring that up is, like, there's too many people that think that, like, oh, I did this, now I got to do something completely different. No, just develop it. And I mean, I'm sure like I haven't seen your set in 3 years, so it's probably completely new, but I like the fact that you would, as you said, you would play the crowd, and if a joke worked for this crowd, you do it. If it worked if it didn't work, you do that joke for somebody else, and you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you gotta keep tugging along, man. You know, hey, if I laugh at myself, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I may not be, you know, I might be a little slow, but I'm not retarded.
Are you sure about that? Oh, that's funny.
I'm only kidding, hon.
Well, no, but see, that's it was funny because I remember when I first started doing my jokes about myself, the cerebral palsy, people would go, "Oh," I said, "No, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a comedian. I want you to laugh." Then I changed it around where I said, "Let me talk about why I love this hand and all the different things he could do." And then people started getting into it more because, like, well, he could talk about it. He's making fun of himself. Well, we can laugh too. But I think at first people felt maybe a little uncomfortable. Then they realized, like, all right, well, he doesn't care. And I said, "No, I want you to laugh."
We're serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So because I had to give people permission, but I also had to develop the joke over the couple of years of like where instead of people going, "Oh, no, don't feel sorry for me. There's nothing to feel sorry for me at all. I'm having a great time and I have a great life."
When I started out, I forgot what comic it was. He said, "Perfect your 5 minutes."
Yep.
He said, "Your a 5-minute set is maybe it could consist of 3 jokes." Right? He said, "No matter what, perfect that, and now work off of one of the jokes, add something else to it. Then after you get the 7-minute set, work on another joke. Now you got a 10-minute."
Yeah.
You know, he said, "But you always keep adding on to the stuff. So you always have your, as I tell people, your go-to jokes. Like, you know, the one I use with the handicap stalls to introduce you up into the stuff. And, you know, we keep going from there and stuff." And I wrote one the other day, you know, just I was driving in the car because I hate the N word, you know, the N word, or people belittling ladies, call them the C word or the B word. So I'm sitting there, and I did it for my daughter and I did it for my cousin the other day, and I did a video. I said, "Look at me, look at this face here. I've been using the N word a lot lately, more than usual. Really more. Let me give you an example. Someone asked me the other day, 'Can you give me a ride?' And I said, 'Nope.' 'You got a couple dollars?' 'Nope.' But see, that's making humor of the stuff by not using that other word that they think that was coming up.
Yeah. So you had them on the edge of their seat thinking you're going to say it, and nope. He's not going to say it.
That's cute.
Well, one comedian I can think of is a mutual friend of ours, Darren Rivera. He's been doing the same. He told me he has some jokes he's been doing for 15 years, but he said they still work. I'm going to use them. So those were his go-to jokes, which I can't remember.
Darren's set, man.
What was that?
He's set.
Oh, I know.
Darren's get. He's set, man. He does good.
Yeah. And that's what he told me one time. He goes, these jokes have been doing for 15 years. He goes, I'm not going to stop it. It still gets laughs. And I like that, because if it's working, why change it? And like you said, it's like you get your 5 minutes and then build off of that and make it funnier. Yeah. And a lot of times, depending on sometimes I would find something, I would make a joke about something I was doing, but then I would be able to add that to the set. Like, oh, I never looked at it like that. And then add that to the joke and let it evolve.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met Darren, I did a show. I think it was for Angels Takes Flight out of Springfield. It was a organization helped people that were trying to get back on their feet, homeless, and they wanted to keep it a little bit clean or so. And I think it was like the second show I ever done, you know, paid show, whatever, audience of like 150 people or something like that. Wow. And I had people singing the song, "You got to do it in the butt. Oh, sexy, sexy." And I remember looking at Darren, and he's scratching his head. He's like, "What's going on here?" You know, he goes, "Talk about somebody just supposed to have a clean set, and you got them singing the song, doing it in the butt. It just changed the whole atmosphere for everything."
I love it.
Uh,
So you said, I know you mentioned a couple of shows that you do have coming up. What is right now? Do you are you going to be booking more of your own shows?
yeah, I'm in the works for stuff. It's the summertime, so like I said, I appreciate the Elks Lodge and stuff like that, doing other shows with them, but more in the fall because they got so much going on for their schedule during the summertime and stuff like that. But definitely in the fall, I'll be doing a lot more shows for them to pick up. I'm booked as of now for like 3 other shows. I just got something with Jess Miller is another lady, Jess Miller.
I did plenty of shows with her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's great. She's great. She's the one I had on a couple of my NA shows and stuff like that. But I'm doing a show I think with her next month. Hold on. Actually, it's the 22nd of this month, Jess Miller's show. And the 30th, I'm doing something with Joe Cook again.
Oh, yeah.
And then on the 6th, I'm doing a show at Gastro Park in West Hartford.
Oh, okay.
And the 13th, I'm doing another comic from New Britain, born and raised, is Bam Gohagan.
Oh, yeah.
Bam
actually,
is...
Because the 3 of us, me, you, Karina, and we used to be on Bam show all the time. I love that place. Yeah. I think it was New Britain.
Yeah. Bam's, he's just, I love it when comics are just like decent people, period.
Yeah.
No,
definitely. That's why I'll say it again. I loved booking my own shows because I got to work with people that I loved doing shows with, because it made it so much more fun of like, oh, this guy's going to be on the thing. This guy's going to be on the bill. Most of the time when it came to that, I would just do my own thing and just, not even think about it. But it's so much fun when everybody just supports each other, has a great time, and then you get laughs.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Yeah. So you have a lot coming up. I'm so happy that we all made it through the pandemic and life is getting back to normal. And it seems like everywhere.
No, I'm like...
Well, you better catch Marcellino now before he's dead.
Busy boy, he's busy. It's good when you're busy.
I'm friends with you on Facebook, and not only are you hilarious, but you're also on Facebook. You're very motivational. You always have a message in the morning. Keep living, keep laughing, and you always give a positive message. And I love that too, because you're funny, but you also sort of do the motivational thing.
Hey, you want to have me on one of your speaking guests or something?
I do.
Let me know.
I do. You know what? I just got booked for 3 more shows from the other show. One at the Wilkin Public Library, one in New York, and one in Mass. So I definitely would love to have you on there.
Nice.
Like the old days. I'll definitely keep you, because I'm being serious when I say this. I love your Facebook messages in the morning. You're like, all right, everybody. They sort of, if somebody's in a bad mood, you're like, oh man, what am I in a bad mood for? Come on, let's have a great day. Marcellino's right.
Yeah.
Look for me on Facebook.
That's your name right there. I'm gonna hit you up, brother.
Yeah, because Marcellino, Wibo, tell Marcellino a little about yourself, because you don't do comedy, but you do a lot of creative things.
Like what?
Sing, talk show host. He's very much into music, and actually, you do a lot of behind the scenes with your president of the Brotherhood of Diversity.
Brotherhood of Diversity, I'm a first responder. I do a lot of stuff, in the front, a lot of stuff in the background too. Yeah, be surprised at people who I do stuff for. And music, and I enjoy music. That's my.
He puts shows together, so keep him in mind. He's hilarious. You're gonna love him. Put him on one of your shows.
Yeah.
Hey, let me know.
Yep.
And let me know.
And this local artist right here, this is gonna be it's gonna be big. This is our goal.
All right.
No, I like the show because the other show that I do, I interview mostly people that were already established, meaning like Dee Wallace from E.T. I interviewed. Ted Neely played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar the movie, and there's a lot of different people that I interviewed that but I love about this show is because there's so much, as you mentioned, with comedy, but in general, there's so much talent in this area that maybe are not seen or not heard. And that's what Wibo and our goal is to get the word out, because I love this, because I've gotten compliments from the Netherlands, down in Texas, Tennessee. So the world is watching with YouTube and social media now, instead of when I was in radio years ago. I was lucky if the wind was blowing the right way, they could hear it in the next town over. So that's why Wibo and I are trying to get as many local artists, talented people like you, and let them know that there's a lot going on in this area and you're missing out on a lot.
And the whole world, international, it's like, because everything starts from the bottom anyway. Everybody don't start from the top. You know what I mean? We get the wrong idea, and we try to bring the right talent out there. Especially Connecticut area. That people know we right here in the corner, right here. Help us. Help. Having fun. You know what I mean?
Well, it's great having you on the show. I'm so glad that we were able to talk for a while. But before you go, what advice would you give to people that want to get into comedy right now?
Go for it. Go for it. Take advantage of every opportunity you can. Hit up every mic you can. Just go out there, be you, but get out there and introduce yourself to people. I have a bad habit of standing in the corner, which I'm trying to come out of that again. But go out there and hit up every open mic you can, talk to everybody you can, and just go and support other comics. I mean, once you get out there, you start to meet more people, and this is what it's about. Go out there and don't forget that you're out here to have fun.
That's fun. That's all about having fun.
No, exactly. Yeah. And most people don't realize, or they see the Dave Chappelle's, they see the Bill Burrs, they see the George Carlins, Richard Pryors. They never saw what it took for them to get where they are. Like Richard Pryor, for example, he even said, he goes, I wanted to be Bill Cosby. When he first started his goal, he was a Bill Cosby imitation until he found his voice. And the only way to find your voice is what you said. Go to every open mic. I mean, you and I was doing at least 4 or 5 times a week, and everybody said, how do you do it? Don't you have a full-time job? Yeah, I love it. And so that's what keeps me going. And just, I love that attitude. And you're right. Just do it. Don't listen to anybody. If that's what you want to do,
have fun.
Have fun is the bottom line. So if you're not having fun, just don't do it. Don't even bother, because they're not.
And people don't understand either. They don't understand. Like a lot of times you're driving 2.5 hours, 2 hours, and then you're waiting around for an hour. And then they set, and you're only doing a 10-minute or 8-minute set, and now you got to drive back.
Yeah.
I did a set in Maine one time, and one of the comics that got me on the show lived in Boston, so she wanted me to pick her up. I picked her up. I got stuck in traffic. That took just 3 hours to get to Boston. It took another 2 hours to get to Maine. I was 10 minutes away from the club, and it was 9:45. Oh, maybe we'll just forget. I said, no, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm not going all the way home now after this. It took me 5 hours to get there. I did a 10-minute set, drove 5 hours back. That was all
right.
One night. So yeah, but some people say, why would you do that? And the bottom line was I had fun. And from that show, I got a couple other shows when they went a lot better and the traffic was a lot better. But yeah, just you have to get out of your box and get out of your bubble and realize that there's a whole world out there. It's not just confined to the comedy club or the restaurant down the road from where you live. Right.
I don't care where it's at. I'll go. You ask me, send me an email, message me. I don't give my phone number out. I'll give you my card. But hit me up. If I'm not booked or if I don't have plans, I'll come out.
Well, once again, thank you very much for being on the show. And I definitely look forward to seeing you on stage slinging some jokes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Look for me on Facebook.
I just did. I just sent you a request, man.
All right.
Right,
brother.
Well, that wraps up another episode. That wraps up another episode of Rich and Wibo Present the Local Artist Show. A special thank goes out to the very funny Marcellino Moose Hill. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to see you on stage soon. And I would also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. All right.
Okay.
terrifying short stories, now available in one collection. Confessions of a Frenetic Mind. 5 tales of blood-curdling terror, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.